Hello and welcome to the new PMP 2021 Certification Test Preparation. This is part 2 of the video series from IT Expert System. The PMP certification exam is composed of 3 different domains: the people domain, the process domain, and the business knowledge domain. In this video, we'll focus on the people domain and the various components as listed here, from build team to negotiate project agreement. We will take a high-level view of these concepts. One of the first activities in every project is for the project manager and the project sponsors to build a team. They need to look at the various skill sets of every team member and every stakeholder to ensure that they are bringing the correct technical skill sets to the project so that they can contribute effectively. And towards that, they need to make sure that the project requirements are understood and that the resource requirements are well defined. There are various ways to acquire teams. Typically, organizations would assemble internal employees, but now there's also the outsourcing model, and outsourcing can be internal or external, and they can also be international versus domestic. And this chart shows how these 4 different models will occur. The people domain is all about people and teams and resources, and it's up to the project manager to ensure that all resources are used effectively, efficiently, and economically so that the project outcomes are the best possible. The PMI had organized the PMP material in knowledge areas and processes, and one of the initial processes was plan resource management. And this basically talks about making sure that your resources are appropriately gathered, identified, and made sure that all the skill sets, everything matches to what the project requirements are. So this activity of planning it and having a plan to how you're going to manage the resources is one of the key initial activities of any project. A key task or duty of the project manager is to support the team's performance. And the best way to do that is to do evaluations on a frequent basis. For this, they should visit project goals as often as necessary, if not daily, interview each team members, talk, listen, identify key challenges, and plan for next time so that you can continuously improve and continuously make a better outcome. Organizations today recognize that every employee needs to be supported in his or her growth and professional development aspirations. This is true even in a project team. The project team members also have growth and professional development aspirations that need to be addressed and need to be identified and satisfied to the best of the organization's ability, and the project manager has to ensure that he or she is also contributing to the employee's growth. The project manager should give adequate and timely feedback. It is very important, very crucial to ensuring that a successful team outcomes are achieved. One useful acronym to remember is called the SMART feedback. SMART stands for specific, measurable, achievable, response-driven, and time-bound, which essentially mean that the right feedback to the right person at the right time for the right reasons. Proper feedback can lead to positive feedback loops, and appropriate feedback loop between a project manager and the team, as well as good feedback loops within the team managers. A project manager should do everything he or she can to ensure an appropriate feedback loop is established so that the team functions smoothly. Another key activity for the project manager is to verify the team's performance. Towards that, he or she should be looking at the metrics and and that can mean comparing the project plan to what is actually occurring, comparing actual results and outcomes to what was expected, and comparing what are the outputs and outcomes of all the efforts that are being put in by all individual team members. making sure gathering these technical metrics and conveying them to the right people at the right time will ensure that the team's performance is well satisfied. The project manager must empower its team members and the stakeholders. In conjunction with the project sponsors and the senior managers, all project team members must be encouraged to take empowerment and voice what they need to voice, any concerns, any challenges, and any ideas and opinions, so that they are an effective individual contributor within the project. As much as possible, the project manager and managers should ensure that they are bestowing appropriate decision-making authority towards project outcomes. A good project will happen only if the project team members are properly trained. So focused training is important, and the project manager should ensure that each project team member is delivering the technical skill, and towards that, make sure that there are training options and make sure there are monies allocated for training, as well as a capacity to measure the training outcomes. Having a successful team can pay off in innumerable ways. And a lot of these are listed, a lot of this is quite obvious, and a project manager needs to do whatever he or she can to make sure he has a successful team in his project. Bruce Tuckman came up with this model of team development, which is made up of these 4 stages as listed here. There's actually a 5th stage called adjourning. And so teams start out with forming and go through these various stages as listed here, and eventually they adjourn when the project is finished. In any activity involving people, there is bound to be some conflict, but it's important to remember that not all conflict is bad. To get the gains of any conflict, a project manager or any manager should make sure that the conflict itself is appropriately analyzed, meaning break it down into its parts and see what are the different attributes of a conflict and figure out what would be the best solution to resolve the conflict. Managing the conflict means to interpret the source, to make sure you analyze and make sure you make an evaluation and recommendation only once you know all the various facts. In any people activity, there was going to be negotiations, and that's very much true in any project. So negotiating project agreements is also a responsibility of the project manager, and that could be either negotiations with external parties, for instance, with vendors and contract negotiations, but also within the project team itself, between stakeholders and between team members and between anyone who has a stake in the project. In summary, making sure your project is going to be successful is really making sure that your team is empowered in order to gain the success that everybody is aspiring for. The people domain is very fascinating. Please reach out to IT Expert System for more information and more training assistance that we can provide.